another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. Always greatly appreciate it. Wanted to come on here and tell everybody that if you missed SWA tonight with one of our big shows, Reloaded, you missed a fantastic show. We had a battle royal, a ladder match, and a cage match all on the same night. Not to mention, we had our awards ceremony. We do it every year at our show called Reloaded because that way the previous year ends, and then in January you hand out the ballots to all the fans and let them vote, tally up the votes, and then you come back in February and announce all the winners. It's always tag team of the year, commissioner of the year, manager of the year, match of the year, good guy of the year, bad guy of the year, and most improved of the year. And I believe that's all the awards we do. So we had the awards ceremony along with our cage match and ladder match and battle royal. Now our next show at SWA will be the second Saturday in March, which I believe is around March 8th or 9th. I'll have to look on the calendar as it gets closer, but I think it's 8th or 9th of March is the second Saturday in March. That'll be where you'll see all the fallout from Reloaded. But the tag team of Forewarned, which is Crystal Rose and Terrain, they retained their tag team belts. And Jimmy Lee won the Fatal 4-Way, which was our ladder match to become the new SWA Premier Champion. Our old Premier Champion was Richard Ramos, and he actually seriously was shot in the leg, so he had to forfeit or relinquish the Premier title. So we have not had a Premier Champion since October. So we earlier tonight crowned our first Premier Champion in quite a few months, and that was Jimmy Lee. He is now the SWA Premier Champion. Hey, Lego Man, glad to have you here. And in case you are new to following SWA, the SWA Premier Championship is our world title. That's what we call it because everybody else calls it, the world title, heavyweight title. So we decided to be different and give it a different name. So we call it the Premier Championship, but it's the head honcho, top of the heap, high as you can go. It is called our Premier Championship. And then we had our Battle Royal, which was the Joey Rogers Battle Royal. We do that every year at Reloaded. And Billy Starr won the Battle Royal to get the Joey Rogers Memorial Trophy that we give away every year for the Battle Royal winner. Hey there, XO. Glad to have you here. Hey there, Spidey. Glad to have you here. And yes, XOXO, I will give you a shout out. I try my best to, while I'm on here live, say hello to everybody who comments live. Hey there, Marcus. Glad to have you here. Will, glad to have you here. That way, it gives you incentive to comment because if you comment during the live stream, I will respond to you. So eventually, all the matches from SWA Reloaded will be on our YouTube page. But if you live in North Georgia or the upstate of South Carolina, I strongly encourage you to come on out to 244 Livestock Road, East Denali, Georgia, one second Saturday of whatever month you're available. And I promise you, you won't regret it. It's very, very, very entertaining. I had some co-workers that I finally talked into coming to a wrestling show last weekend. And then when I saw them again at work this week, first thing they said was, we had fun. That was entertaining. I said, that's kind of what it's supposed to be. Just a good cheap date for a married couple. You can't find a cheaper date than $5 or $10. Now, Reloaded was $10. That's because it was one of our bigger shows. But when we have our next show on the second Saturday of March, it'll be $5. So it's $5 for a regular show, $10 for a big show, and you can't beat that. I'll, Marcus, I already said on here on Thursday's video that I think the Eagles will win the game. I didn't give a score prediction, but I did say that I think the Eagles win the game. I still feel that way. I think between Saquon Barkley and all those great receivers they have, that the Chiefs just aren't going to be able to stop them enough to beat them. So I think the Eagles win the game, but I did not give a score. But if I had to give a score, I'd say something like, I don't know, 28-24, 31-24, somewhere along in there. Hey there, Spidey, you're saying respond, but I'm not sure what you're wanting me to respond to. I already gave you a shout out a while ago, so maybe I'm missing something. If you're asking about the donate thing, I've mentioned this numerous times, and I'll keep bringing it up as long as I keep getting new subscribers, which I hope that we do. But as of right now, and this is the honest to God's truth, I don't have Cash App, PayPal, the Venmo, none of that stuff. So there's actually no way to donate to the channel, but I honestly, really, truly do appreciate you offering. But anytime I get to tell people I don't have a way to accept your money, it makes me feel good because it lets people know that, I've been doing this now for almost 4 years. Next month, I believe March 9th, I believe is the exact date, but I think March 9th, 2021 is when I started the channel. It might have been 2022. Honestly, I'm not really sure. I don't keep up, but either 3 years or 4 years next month. And so far, I still don't have a way to take anybody's money, and I like it that way because it lets people know that I'm not doing this to make money. I make zero money doing this. I do this because it's a way for me to meet new people. It's a way for me to talk sports because I love sports. It's a way for me to talk wrestling because I love wrestling. It's a way for me to tell dad jokes because I love dad jokes. And if I can come on here and be crazy and be silly and make somebody's day a little bit brighter, a little bit better, it's all worth it. I think we should all be happy and be positive all the time. And if I can do this channel to make other folks' life better, it's all worth it in the end. And I may eventually one day get a Cash App or a PayPal or a Venmo or something like that, so I can, take money if people, want to offer it. But I haven't done that yet because I want people to know that I'm not doing this for money. When I started this channel, either 3 or 4 years ago, I went into it and told my wife, I said, look, if we ever get big enough to where one day we can make money doing it, great. But, YouTube's been around now for, 15 years or so, and I'm just now starting a channel. So I know I'm late to the game, so I'm not going to jump on here and day one think that I'm going to get, 19,478 subscribers, because it's not going to happen. It's going to be a slow build. And if you start the channel and you immediately get a Cash App or a PayPal or Venmo, it looks like that you're money hungry and you're doing it just to make money. And that's not what I'm doing. But hopefully one day we can get there. But the other reason I don't have Cash App or PayPal or Venmo is because the only social media that I have is Facebook. And, I've told people on here numerous times, and I'll keep doing it, that I'm the same person on Facebook that I am on here. And if you ever want to contact me on Facebook, please feel free to send me a message. But if you do, let me know who you are, because I know not everybody here on the comment section uses your actual name, which is fine. But if your Facebook name is different than I see on this YouTube screen and you message me, I don't know who you are. So, I'll respond back to you. My first question is going to be, can I ask who this is so that I know who I'm talking to? So feel free to hit me up on Facebook anytime. I don't ignore people. I'll always respond. It may not be within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but I promise you, in time, I will respond. I respond to everybody just like I do on here. But Facebook is the only social media platform that I have. I don't have Instagram. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Snapchat and whatever else is out there. And the only reason I have Facebook is because when I started this YouTube channel, I didn't have no social media at all because I've never liked social media. It's too much drama on social media. But when I started the channel, I said, well, wait a minute. If I start a YouTube channel and I don't get on some kind of social media to promote the channel, talk about the channel, it's never going to grow. So I've got to get some form of social media so that I can, get to know people and I can let them know about the channel. So I started Facebook. But there are too many people on Facebook sometimes that are always making those stupid posts about, I'm going to bless 100 people or I'm going to bless 50 people. Hey there, Austin. Glad to have you here. And Spidey, you don't have to tell me your name even though you can. There's nothing wrong with, being from India. I know people that are from India. But even if you don't tell me your name, if you ever message me on Facebook, if your Facebook name is not Spidey FF, I'm going to have no clue who you are. I am fantastic, Austin. Thank you for asking. But people are on Facebook always making those stupid posts about, I'm going to bless somebody. I'm going to give somebody money. Let me know your Cash App. And I can get on there and I can honestly tell them, hey, I don't have Cash App. And I'm not lying. I don't. But if you tell them that you have it, but you're not going to give it to them, you're never going to hear the end of it. They're going to keep pushing like a salesman, pushing, trying to get it. And they only do that trying to get somebody's private information. I know that, but it's surprising that so many people continue to fall for it. And I don't know anybody that's ever actually fallen for it personally. But if you've got thousands and thousands of people that are on Facebook constantly making those posts, somebody's falling for it. They're not going to waste their time doing that stuff unless people are actually falling for it. So I may not know anybody that's falling for it, but if it's working this long and they're making those posts all the time, people are falling for it. And no, Austin, I have never had a Instagram account. I've never had a TikTok account. I've never had a Snapchat account or any other kind of social media. Just Facebook and Facebook only. And I do it as a way to meet people because between the high school football and high school basketball that I cover and being a professional wrestling, independent referee, I go a lot of places. As a matter of fact, looking like my wife and I might be doing a show in South Carolina coming up in a couple of weeks, and we might even get to be on TV. Now, we personally won't see it because the channel that it's going to be on, we don't have, so we'll never see it, but, it'll benefit the people in that area because they'll get to see my wife and I on TV, doing wrestling because I love wrestling. But I do this so that if ever I'm in a town close to you and you would like to come meet me, have no fear. Please come meet me. Walk up to me, tell me who you are. I'll shake your hand. I'll talk to you. I talk to anybody. Now, the nicer you are, the friendly you are, the more I'll talk to you. I don't like negativity, so if you come up to me and you're all like, oh, like your dog just died, I don't want to talk to you. But if you come up to me and you're happy and you're positive and you're funny, I'll talk to you. I love meeting new people. And Austin, you came on here late. I just talked about having SWA reloaded earlier tonight, where Forewarned, which is the tag team of Crystal Rose and Terrain. They are our SWA tag team champions. They kept their tag team belts. And then we had a ladder match where we crowned a new SWA Premier Champion. And the SWA Premier Championship is basically our world title. But everybody else calls it, World Championship or something to that effect. So we decided to be different years ago when we got our world title belt. We called it the SWA Premier Championship. So Jimmy Lee is now the SWA Premier Champion. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in all the years I've refed for SWA, I believe this is Jimmy Lee's first Premier Championship. I could be wrong. He's held the other titles numerous times, but I think this is his first SWA Premier Championship. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's his first SWA Premier Championship. And our cage match was supposed to be Billy Starr against Big Bad Brando, but we always make wrestling posters and wrestling flyers. You always put on there card subject to change. Big Bad Brando decided he was going to not show up and not tell anybody he wasn't going to show up. So the card was subject to change. So it ended up being Billy Starr versus Brent Hudson, because you can't advertise a cage match and then not have a cage match. It just was not Billy Starr and Big Bad Brando. It was Billy Starr against Brent Hudson. And also, it'll be on YouTube sometime. I can't tell you when. Some places are faster than others. Hey there, Noxify. Glad to have you here. Used to be when I ref for Southern Fried, if Southern Fried ran their show on Saturdays, they would have the whole entire show from start to finish on YouTube by Tuesday. So when I ref for Southern Fried, I could go up there on Saturday and ref and then come home from work on Tuesday night and go back and watch the whole show. And then I refed for a promotion last Sunday, and by Monday they were already putting some of their matches on YouTube. I hadn't checked since Monday. They might have the whole show on there now. I'm not really sure. But then there are some places that they tell you it's on YouTube, but the match is in March and it's not on YouTube till November, but it's still on YouTube. So I can't tell you when it'll be on there, but it will be on YouTube at some point in time. And that's why I always tell people that are close enough to be able to come on out, because first of all, you're not going to find a more entertaining, fun night than independent local pro wrestling. But also, I don't want you to sit back and wait for it to come on TV, and by the time it comes on TV, you don't forgot what the heck even happened, because it takes so long. So I always tell people, if you're close enough to come to the show, come to the show. And Austin, I have not been a commentator as far as wrestling goes. Now, I open up our church service every Sunday by doing, announcements and birthdays and, telling maybe a funny story, something like that. And then I always talk on the radio when I'm covering high school, football. So I've done plenty of talking behind a microphone, but I've never been a commentator. But one day when I get too old to be a ref anymore and I just can't do it physically, I'll probably turn into a commentator or ring announcer or something to that effect, because I have a voice for it and I know enough about it to be able to do it, and I think I would enjoy doing it. But I don't want to do it now, because one day, hopefully it's 20 years from now, but one day I will be too old to be a ref anymore, and I don't want to stop doing it now while I'm able to still physically do it. And then say 20 years from now, I can't do it anymore, and look back and say, man, now I'm just too old to be a ref. I should have done it while I could. So I'm going to do it while I can, as long as I can, whether that's 5 years or 20 years. And then when I get too old to keep doing it, I'll probably become a commentator or a ring announcer, or maybe I'll be somebody's Paul Heyman and get in the ring and cut a 10-minute promo. I don't know, but something that involves me talking is what I'm going to do. Hey there, Z Money. Glad to have you here. It's been a very nice conversation tonight. I came on here just to briefly talk about SWA. It ended up being over a 20-minute long video. If you mean how old I was when I started reffing Austin, I was 23 when I reffed my very first match. I had just turned 23 about a month before I started. And I wish I would have started when I was a lot younger, really. But when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a wrestler because I started watching wrestling when I was 6 years old. And I thought that, hey, I'm 6 years old, all small kids like wrestling, but as I get older, I'll grow out of it. And I never did. The more I watched it, the more I enjoyed it. So by the time I got to be about 11 or 12, I had decided that I wanted to be a wrestler when I grew up, and I did. But I was very, very tiny when I was in high school, and of course, professional wrestling ain't like high school wrestling. High school and collegiate wrestling, you've got the, you know, phantom weight class, the featherweight class, the middleweight class, the light heavyweight class. Well, in pro wrestling, you don't have that. Everybody's classified together. And when I was in high school, I might have weighed 150 pounds, maybe. I mean, I was itty bitty. I think I was 5'6", a buck 50 my last year of high school. So I was like, I can't wrestle. How am I supposed to make it believable that I'm going in there my little size and meeting somebody double my size? That's not believable. So I just decided that, hey, I'll just be a wrestling fan all my life. I'm too small to do it. Well, then I actually, when I was 22, almost 23, a guy came to our church and did a youth camp slash revival one year for all the youth at our church. And since I was so young, I was no longer youth, but I was helping out with the youth. And he had been to our church probably 10 times when I was growing up, so I knew who he was. But this particular time, I found out that he had just started his own wrestling promotion. And him and I talked one night in our church fellowship hall for about 2 hours after church, just talking wrestling. And then he asked me if I'd ever wanted to be, a wrestler. And I said, well, yeah, but I'm too small. I can't wrestle at this size. And he said, I tell you what, go to the store and buy you some whey protein and you take it, and I promise you, you'll gain some weight. And you can be a referee in the meantime. That way you're getting your foot in the door and you're starting the business. And you can be a referee, and then when you put on whatever amount of weight you desire to put on, you can turn into a wrestler. And I was like, sounds good. And he was being truthful. I went from a buck 55 to a buck 95 in 4 months. But in that 4 months, I figured out how much fun refereeing was, and I just stuck with it. So my intentional plan, even after I started, was to become a wrestler, and it just never happened because I enjoyed refereeing so much. And then I, started paying more attention to all the guys that were wrestling, and figured out that most of them, by the time they get to be 35, 40 years old, they're hooked on pain pills. Their heart's done gone bad. A lot of them are dead before the age of 40. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be in the spotlight. Most folks won't even know my name because who goes to a show to watch a referee? It's kind of like watching a football game on TV. You don't watch the football games to see the referees. Well, you don't buy a ticket to a wrestling show to watch the refs. So I was like, you know what? I'm out of the spotlight. Ain't nobody going to know who I am. I'm not good or bad, so I can walk out there, before the show intermission to meet people because I'm just a ref, so I'm kind of down the line. So anybody can, see me and talk to me, no big deal. But, being a referee ain't near as hard on your body as being a wrestler. So I'll stick with this. And it's been almost 18 years now. And I still love it. And yes, Austin, I've been kicked in the throat. I've been thrown over the top rope. I've had my nose busted. I've been clotheslined. Uh, I've been kicked in the head, I think, twice. I've been smushed in the corner by about a 600-pound man named Tow Truck. I think that might be it. I believe that's it that I can think of right now, anyway. But any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. And this is not really a joke. It came to me the other day. I heard a story about somebody, wanting to be cremated. And I thought, you know what? Thinking about cremation really burns me up. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of three. Tell your friends and family how much you love them.